Hi, my name is Travis, and I am the founder and CEO of Excellerate Youth in Fargo, Moorhead. And we just want to share a few words about what is Excellerate Youth and why did we start it. A few disturbing stats about youth that are phasing out of foster care that sometimes they're not even aware, but more than 23,000 children, they age out, meaning they're in foster care, but they turn 18 and they've never been adopted. So over 23,000 a year are aging out of foster care. And some of the things that are happening in that time, when they reach 18, 20% of those children who are in foster care that age out, they're gonna be homeless. They don't have a place to go, there's no connection, there's no family there. A few other stats, 1 out of every 2 foster care kids that are phasing out, so only half they will get gainfully employed. So 50% of them, they're not working, they don't have a job, and then we just heard that some of them are homeless. And then this is the last that is also really, it's very disturbing and challenging that only 3%, less than a 3% chance will they be able to get a college degree. So there's this group of people, we just heard 23,000 a year, that are getting to this place of adulthood. They don't have a family, there's not that connection. That's a massive group of people every year that are going into adulthood and they're not prepared. So that's why we started Excellerate Youth here in the Fargo Moorhead area. We focus on 3 things to just say, we hear these stats, but we know that there's people, there's names that are connected in our city. There's youth that are phasing out, and their names and who they are more important than a number. So we see those stats, but we're doing 3 things to combat what's happening in our country and what's happening right here in our city. The 3 things that we're doing to try to alleviate some of those issues in our country is that we believe that every one of those kids deserves connection. They need meaningful relationships. The Minnesota Department of Health, when it comes to helping these at-risk youth, their number one focus is that they say that the indicator that's gonna help those youth that are phasing into this new season of life, the number one thing that they're focused on is connection. So mentoring relationships, a way for them to have interactions with adults and people who care for them and can support them. That's the number one statistical factor of what's gonna set them up for success is, do they have people that are healthy in their life that are in this transition? So that's the first thing we do. We believe in connection. We also believe that another thing that's incredibly important is skills training. How in the world, when someone who's been in foster care, some of our Excellerate Youth, they've been in foster care for half their lives. And how in the world are you gonna get to this phase of adulthood without the skills that you need? And some of these skills, they might seem basic to you and I, but they're skills that they've never learned or developed in this process. So some of those skills are simple things like, how do I go to a job interview and be prepared? How do I budget? Like, how much money do I need to live off of during the week? How much money do I need to make? Where some of these youth, they've been dependent upon support or financial support from the government. Well, how do you transition off that and prepare for what's next when that's all you've been learning to live off of, which is not enough to prepare for what's next? So skills training, some of those are financial, some of it's just even simple things like, how do I create healthy boundaries in my life to know who's gonna influence me, who do I let in, and who do I need to protect some boundaries to say, hey, I don't want that influence to keep me from what's next. Those are just a few of the different skills. So we do actually 14 weeks of skills training, and we focus on different skills to help them prepare for adulthood. So again, connection, skills training, and the third that's extremely important is transportation. And the YWCA here in Fargo Moorhead says that the number one barrier for independent living is transportation. And so we say, okay, guys, it's time to get a job or go to school or go to your appointments. Don't miss your appointments. You've got to get ready for adulthood. But that transportation is a huge barrier. And so every Excellerate student does have the ability to get a car after they graduate. There's some prerequisites with that. They have to have a job. They have to be able to pay for their insurance. And this is a really big one, it has to be in their best interest. And our students know, hey, I may not be ready for a car. So we'll try to deal with other ways like, hey, you got to maybe put in your budget Uber or a bus pass, or maybe a bike can be a great option in the spring and in the summer, and then we'll figure out how do you get to those places. It's removing that excuse of I can't do this because I don't have a way to get to where I need to. It's like, no, you can. There's options for you to be able to do that. We want to remove that barrier so that you can get to that place of adulthood and be confident in knowing I can go to these things and I can focus on my future. And so that's a snapshot of what we do here at Excellerate Youth in Fargo Moorhead. We would love to share more about what we do. If you know that of a youth that's phasing out of foster care and needs support, please send them our way. Maybe you have a heart to serve. You're like, I really have a heart for these youth. We'd love to connect you, and there's so many different ways. Some of it is working with the youth. Some of it is sometimes just making a meal or going to events with us. There's lots of different ways for you to serve, or your generous contribution. It absolutely makes a difference in the lives of these youth. The more resources that we have to be able to solve this problem here in our city, the more youth that we can directly connect to connections, skills training, and helping them remove those barriers for independent living. So we'd ask you to prayerfully consider, how can I be a part of this? We unapologetically ask you to think and contemplate about that, because man, when there's more people that get involved and get connected to this vision, it can absolutely, those stats that we heard, those numbers can decrease, and more importantly, those people, those names that are connected to those numbers, they can find those meaningful connections that they desperately need. Thanks for listening. If you have any other questions, hit us up on the website or message us. We would love to connect with you.